What's up everybody, it's me Christopher and I am the FitDirector here with a new episode of Watch Like a Filmmaker. And in this episode, as you can tell from the title, I'm going to be talking about not necessarily mistakes, but a huge lesson and tool that has helped guide me, that actually kind of has given me some experience to give you the insight that I offer you in these episodes. But what do I mean by that? Today we're going to be taking a step back in my film journey to an early short film I made in Colorado. I'd like to watch it with you and kind of talk about some of the things I liked and I didn't like, or the things I learned. Now, I hope you guys enjoy this episode as we get into this film, but I would like to kind of preface it with the fact that it is a short film, so this will be a little bit longer because we're going to be going through the entire thing. It's about 7.5 minutes long, so not too long, but it's going to make this a longer video as we break down everything in it. And I hope by breaking this film down, that not only do you learn a little bit about me and my filmmaking journey, but you also get a chance to see that it's okay to come from something that, not that you're not proud of, but something you started at, a place you improved. But this is a project that's near and dear to my heart, and I want to share it with all of you. So without further delay, please join me on an early short film of mine called In a Moment. And we stop right in the beginning, okay? So as you can tell, we're going to be stopping a lot. But I want to explain things in detail so you kind of take the lessons you can from this episode and maybe learn from it, or, you know, just kind of see a little bit more of my thought process and why I did some of the things when making this film. But like I said, we're going to stop right away because this intro was at a time where, this is an independent production. I wrote, directed, produced this project, and at the time when I was editing it and putting it together, I didn't necessarily have a theme or like an opening titles for like running direct production. So like, for example, like, you know, when you see Lionsgate, it's like a gate that opens up, or you see MGM, it's the lion roar. So I didn't really have that kind of opening for my independent production company called Running Director Productions, which is still active. I didn't have anything for it at the time, so my idea was to instead create individualized openings and things that meant something to the film itself. The biggest thing I learned is that these openings, although personalized to the project, does not serve the story in the long run, which is kind of the point of when I'm editing and putting stuff together. I want to serve the story better, and although this is a nod to the story, it doesn't serve it better by spending that extra time doing this, so I have since moved on from that. But let's continue. Now, there's a lot of things I could break apart, but I'll only focus on the things that are most important in my film journey and things I learned. So, for example, this right here, I was slowly trying to take shots to build the world and kind of introduce you to the main character, which will be introduced to you shortly, but that was the whole point of these opening shots. I would now rather, if I were to do this differently, I would add an establishing shot to show the home, because the home plays a very central role in this film, In a Moment. And, wow. So again, I'm going to be pausing a lot to kind of pinpoint, like I could be doing it constantly throughout the film because there's so many things I could nitpick being so close to it and involved in this project. But I'm pausing right here specifically because the character itself is overexposed. Now, I know that doesn't... In this scene, the way it was done, it does make sense. But it wasn't an artistic choice. It wasn't a creative choice. That was me not understanding lighting. So when I talk about lighting or why lighting is important in a project, it's not because I'm saying like, hey, go do this, I heard it's the right thing. It's because I've seen the story be sacrificed a little bit, taking away from finer details that I want to focus on, even though it fits right now. And without pointing it out, you could look at this and say that's okay. It wasn't done on purpose. It was just my lack of knowledge with lighting. So that's kind of what that is. But let's continue. But we find our character here sitting in his... We don't even know. See, that's another thing. Like, we don't even know where he's writing this at. Other than a table that we showed earlier. But introduce...
I thought you said you'd help Mommy clean. you don't want to. Just be sure to pick up your toys when you're done, please.
See, that overexposure right there behind him.
Maybe once we're done, we can go to the park before Daddy gets home. Sound fun?
I do like that. That was pretty cool. For an early on special effect transition. Oh, I'll pause right there. I enjoy this movie, so if I'm kind of watching it and like getting away from what I'm supposed to be doing, which is pausing and kind of breaking down mistakes and lessons, I do apologize. I'm so sorry. I do like this movie a lot. It's like I said, very close and personal to me. So I'm going to pause right here because this shot right here is a special effects shot where the character fades away. It served a point to the story, which is great. That's what a special effects shot should do. Serve the story. Everything should serve the story, I believe personally. There's not a special effect for no reason. And this is a pretty simple one. It's basically a transition where one clip fades into the other. The only thing I've done since then is figured out ways to move it. So you're going to notice that this shot is stable. So basically all I did was shot it one way with the character in there sweeping. And I actually did some lighting stuff too as well. I did do some lighting. It wasn't the greatest, but I warmed it up. I added warm tones in the background whenever you see that mom character in that scene. And then after I filmed her sweeping, she got out of there and I filmed it without her in the scene. I added the rose. So the big lesson for me on this one was if the special effects shot serves a story and it's done right, it's an excellent addition. The only thing I've done since then is I've pushed forward with that with like green screen stuff like you saw in one of my other videos. Or I'm now moving, so I'm figuring out new ways to move the camera instead of having to be stable to pull this off. And some of you may kind of already know where this is going, especially with that sad music, but you know, obviously the mom was referring to him as a young man. And now he's an older man with a cane. So that was a very subtle detail, but adding that cane really emphasized that that's a memory of his mom that he saw. And I think that tape in the background was actually holding something closed to keep from spilling, light spilling. Like I said, I tried to work with the light, I just wasn't that good. And it was just me. Oh. That's kind of a hard cut. Ugh.
Birthday cookies for Mom are even better on special days.
Again, I'm not going to pause on everything. I could break a lot of things apart in this,
Is it
but
really so bad, Evan? Can you please look up at me?
gosh. And will you please look up at me and again, another hard cut. Those transitions. I hate to keep pausing this. It's actually a film I really enjoy, like I've said a million times already. But kind of have to, because the point of this video, like I said, is to kind of show you some lessons that I've learned from an earlier project. That way that when I mention things in these episodes of Watch Like a Filmmaker, you know it's coming from a right place. A place that has made mistakes and has learned from them and continues to make mistakes later on and continues to learn from them. I am not past my era of mistakes. That's just something I constantly improve on or constantly strive to improve on. So I do apologize for all the pausing, but it does kind of, it's the point of the video. This part right here, I had to pause on because within the last 10 to 15 seconds, we've seen these dramatic jump cuts. It almost looks like jumping over. And the reason I bring that up is because when I'm watching something, or even making something, I want to be fully immersed. Those quick jumps pull me away. I remember I'm watching a movie. I remember I'm watching a story being told. And even though, of course, we know that from the beginning, but those little jumps take us back. We remember we're watching something. And that's not really an immersive way to bring people in. If any of our favorite films and television shows were doing that, we'd notice immediately. It would go from this person maybe talking like this, in a matter of seconds. And I know YouTube's pretty common for things like that. I do it myself, like these little jump cuts. But it doesn't work well to serve the purpose of a story. So a big point right here, something that I watch for and I strive to improve on, is trying to bring that immersion back. So those little things like that are just things I've improved on and things I watch for. But let's continue. Another jump cut thing.
He's a special gift. His name is Brave. He helps young men sleep soundly at night and fights nightmares.
And just a little, again,
Don't make
to show these are memories.
Just because you're growing up.
You know, when a young man looking up at his mom giving him a teddy bear, so that,
Will always be your
you know,
name,
way to change his perspective a little bit. Wow. That's probably where the cool tone, lighting tone was done right. Definitely, you know, you saw the warmth leave with that memory.
I know, Mom. I always
do.
knew.
Powerful performance by the actor. And we have to pause again because another lesson I took from this film. Like I said, I have nothing against this film as a whole. I love what we did with it. I love the people involved. It was a great project to come together and the cast was amazing. But that line, that powerful line, was undervalued and undercut by me. I took in this dramatic close and then you saw at the end it kind of ends up on his forehead. Does that really serve the purpose of the film? No, it's just a camera on somebody. You know, this whole emotion that he was conveying could have been shown in so many different ways. I could have shown, just to kind of change it up a little bit, the camera could have started up here as he was saying it, and then lowered, going down, maybe to a hand clenching as he felt the emotion, or since we've already done the hand clenching moment, we could go from here and follow his face down. And then maybe a single tear drops from his eye. There's quite a few things I could have done that didn't involve ending up on his forehead. You live and you learn. And that's the whole point of this, okay? Again, some of those lighting issues. I'm not going to say I used autofocus because obviously I couldn't have done even this shot where the bear, the bear wouldn't be in focus if I was using autofocus. It bounced between the person and the bear, so I didn't use autofocus the entire time. Maybe a little. God, I hope I didn't. I can't remember. And this entire film was done in one location. There's a tree out front of this house that I got that picture of the actress and printed it off ahead of time, and that's where we had that photo. So yay! But yeah, we come full circle from the table through the house back to the table, and you realize that he was writing a eulogy for his mom. Yeah. Wow. So it's a sad movie. No, you know. But yeah, again, lighting. This one was done a little bit more purposeful. I will admit that one was done correctly, but not everything. I'll take credit for that one. The rest of it, 50-50. But yeah, the entire story of In a Moment, the idea is that, of course, life passes by in a moment. So the one thing in ending, if I could add one more critique to this project, is that the film takes place in the mother's house where the young man grew up, and ways I could have maybe shown that a little bit better, other than just the memories of the mom. I probably could have added in the opening shots in the very beginning, instead of like the bottles, I could have added maybe photos of the mother and a young man, a young boy, like kind of hanging out, playing together. I could have added more black and white photos to the other rooms as the main character Evan is passing through them, just to kind of show that there's a little bit more history other than just the memories. Overall, I did like what we did, but that little detail could have sold it a little bit more. And that ends the video. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of Watch Like a Filmmaker, where again, I've kind of talked a little bit about some of the mistakes and lessons I learned on some of my projects, and that kind of explains a little bit about where my perspective is coming from. Like I said in a previous video, there's about 9 years of work that bring my perspective to you. But this kind of explains where I'm coming from as an artist myself, and I'm not coming with a malicious intent. This is an educational intent, and basically just sharing a little bit of some of the lessons I learned along the way with all of you. That way we can all enjoy the stuff that we love to watch just a little bit more. And before we wrap up the video, if you would like to see this film in its entirety without me talking through it, there will be a link down in the description below where you can watch the film in a moment in its entirety, and I hope you enjoy the project. Leave a comment if you came from Watch Like a Filmmaker on that YouTube video so I know that you got a chance to enjoy it as much as I do. But that wraps up this week's episode of Watch Like a Filmmaker. My name is Christopher, I am the theFitDirector. Please leave a comment down below to let me know what you thought of this video, if you want to see more reactions or lessons from some of my earlier projects. And then remember to like and subscribe so I know that this is the kind of stuff you want to see, and subscriptions, of course, because we release new episodes every Saturday, and I look forward to seeing you there. But like I said, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Saturday in a new episode of Watch Like a Filmmaker.